Disabilities is an LA-based community nonprofit that provides justice, stability, and hope to those experiencing economic and social disparities. Disabilities provides free legal services, educates community members with the powerful knowledge of their legal rights, and uses our collective voice to reform systems. Our vision is to achieve equitable access to justice so that everyone can meet their essential needs and lead fulfilling lives. Small businesses are a key part of local economies and infrastructure. Disabilities Small Business Development Project supports small business owners through legal representation and educational resources. We partner with the County and City of Los Angeles, pro bono attorneys, business community groups, and economic development organizations to provide free legal education, resources, and one-on-one legal assistance to low to moderate income small business owners and entrepreneurs. Disabilities launched its Small Business Development Project in 2016 to strengthen the economic base of underserved communities, including women, disabled, veteran, immigrant, limited English-speaking, LGBTQ, and BIPOC business owners. Disabilities Small Business Development Project can help small business owners and entrepreneurs with forming a business, leasing commercial space, understanding contracts, fair employee practices, protecting their intellectual property, and more. Contact Disabilities Small Business Development Project by visiting lalegalhelp.org or calling 866-375-9511. We offer services in different languages.
This video was brought to you in partnership with the City of Los Angeles Economic and Workforce Development Department and Disabilities Legal Services. Disabilities is an equal opportunity affirmative action employer.
The Economic and Workforce Development Department's goal is to steer economic development in a manner that yields thriving businesses and creates job training and career opportunities for the City of Los Angeles. EWDD works every day to deliver a strong and committed workforce, maintain sustainable neighborhoods, and profitable communities throughout Los Angeles. Get more information at ewdd.lacity.gov. The City of Los Angeles Economic and Workforce Development Department, or EWDD, funds 10 business source centers across LA City. Business source centers offer free business consulting and technical assistance to help startups and operating businesses with permitting, access to capital, and marketing, among others. Services are provided at no cost to LA City business owners and resident entrepreneurs. Get more information at the link on your screen. Thank you for viewing this educational video. The information provided in this video is intended for general informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. While we strive to present accurate and up-to-date information regarding small business laws and regulations in the state of California, laws are subject to change and may vary based on specific circumstances. Viewers are strongly encouraged to consult with a qualified attorney for advice tailored to their individual situation and to ensure compliance with all applicable laws. The content presented herein does not establish an attorney-client relationship, and we assume no liability for any loss or damage incurred as a result of reliance on the information provided in this video. You should decide which course of action is best for your small business after thoroughly discussing your case with a qualified attorney. Thank you.
My name is Carla Jacobo, and I am an advocate on the Disabilities Small Business Development Team. Today, we will be discussing a very important set of federal and state laws known as the American with Disabilities Act and its California state equivalents, the Unruh Civil Rights Act and the California Disabled Persons Act. The American Disabilities Act and its California state equivalents were enacted as to end the systemic discrimination against individuals with disability and ensure their full participation in society. In everyday life, these laws allow for individuals with disabilities to have equal opportunities in employment, education, and fully participate in society. As small businesses that open their doors to communities and interact with the public by providing goods and services, these laws require that the business be mindful of their customers and the disabilities which they may have that are visible or invisible. In taking the time to incorporate the principles of equal access, a small business can set themselves up for success in meeting the needs of the public and compliance with the existing ADA laws, both at a federal and state level. At BetSEDEC, it is very important to give businesses the tools to provide access to everyone and respect disability rights. As we move forward in today's discussion, the information shared today can help small businesses in thinking about the larger question of, is my business currently set up for success to help individuals with disabilities in accessing our goods and services, which is very important. As a small business, learning about these laws can also allow you to learn how to comply with them and learn about what resources are available that can assist with compliance. Under the current structure of these laws, the consequence of not following these laws can impede access for people with disabilities, and non-compliance sometimes can lead to very costly litigation, which can negatively affect small businesses. At BetSEDEC, providing education on these laws is our way of empowering the small businesses in the community so that they may have their best chance to succeed in being compliant with these laws. The American with Disabilities Act is a federal law that protects people with disabilities and was passed by Congress in 1990 and is in effect to date. It prohibits the exclusion of people with disabilities from everyday activities, and it applies to both for-profit and nonprofit businesses. In practice, the ADA looks at the way that a building or a facility is built and how goods and services are provided. Both must be accessible to individuals with disabilities. The American with Disabilities Act is sometimes referred to as the ADA. Under the ADA, a disability is defined as having a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, or having a record of such impairment, such as a condition that is in remission, or being regarded as having such an impairment, such as a person with severe burns, but no impairment. Not only is it a federal law, there are also ADA equivalent laws in California that incorporate and expand the federal American with Disabilities Act. They are Unruh Civil Rights Act and California Disabled Persons Act. Currently, the ADA allows a person with a disability to sue businesses and request only injunctive relief and the payment of attorney's fees for plaintiffs if they are successful in a lawsuit. Injunctive relief is when a judge orders you to do something or to stop doing something. Here, a judge can order a small business owner to fix the alleged deficiency under the ADA. However, the California state laws allow people with disabilities to sue businesses for damages. As of March 2025, damages under the Unruh Civil Rights Act provide $4,000 per offense, and the California Disabled Persons Act provides $1,000 per offense. This means that under the California laws, a person with a disability can receive compensation as well as their attorney if they are successful in their lawsuit against the business. Common lawsuits under these accessibility laws include actions for a lack of accessible parking, lack of access into the building, lack of space for wheelchairs, instances when countertops are too high, or for when aisles of a business are too narrow to allow an individual in the wheelchair to successfully navigate the store and gather the goods that they would like to purchase. In instances of access into the building, we are seeing lawsuits which address a variety of things at a physical building, such as issues with stairs, slope, ramp, clearance, signage, etc. Under this law, businesses that provide goods or services to the public and fall within the 12 enumerated categories that are considered public accommodations are required to comply with the ADA and the California laws. Examples of these 12 categories include stores, restaurants, bars, service establishments, places of public gatherings, medical office, etc. However, it is important to note that a private place that also provides public accommodations is subject to the ADA. An example of this is a leasing office of an apartment complex. Also, if a commercial facility does not provide goods or services to the public, examples include office buildings, factories, warehouses, then they are only subject to the ADA requirements for new construction and alterations. Small businesses should also know that there are different standards and compliance dates for construction or alterations of a building. The ADA requires compliance with these laws regardless of a building's size or age. In addition to the requirements under the ADA at a federal level, in California, an online website can be subject to ADA regulations if there is a close connection between goods or services provided by the website and an actual physical service. For example, a bank's website is subject to the ADA regulations because of the close connection to services offered by a bank in a physical building. It is important to note that, to date, there are no clear regulations on website accessibility. However, an ADA compliant can include captioned videos and images, information downloadable PDFs, and compatibility with reading software, just to name a few items. We highly recommend that you speak with your website provider to ensure that your website is accessible, as it ordinarily is not an automatic feature when creating a website. A key takeaway here is that disability laws require that persons with disabilities have equal access to any area of your small business. Taking this into consideration, when thinking about compliance, a small business should consider reasonable modifications to their existing operations, the removal of architectural barriers or alternate services, and scheduling an inspection by a certified accessibility specialist, if financially feasible. Exploring each of these a bit more, your business may take a look into making reasonable modifications to its existing rules and policies. This may include reviewing your policies regarding service animals to allow for a service animal to be with their persons, even if there is a no pet policy, and adjusting communications with your customers to be compliant. Examples of compliant communications are exchanging written notes with a customer who is deaf in a store and has questions about items for sale, or a waiter reading a menu to a customer who is blind in the restaurant. Also, focusing on physical accessibility of your small business is a key to compliance. Consider things such as removing barriers to entering your business when it is possible, or instituting alternatives such as curbside services and creating accessible routes to goods and services, toilet stalls, and dressing rooms. Lastly, a small business can connect with a certified accessibility specialist to inspect your building of your business and make modifications when readily achievable. This would greatly increase a small business chance of compliance with the ADA and state law equivalents. Among the most common misconceptions among small business owners are that if they are not the owner of the building, then they are not responsible for accessibility compliance. It is important to recognize that many lawsuits are filed against both the landlord, typically the owner of the building, and the operating business owner, the tenant. It's going to be important to consult with an attorney what your rights and responsibilities are in this scenario as an operating business owner. Another misconception is that if your building is in compliance under an applicable building code, that your business is automatically compliant with ADA and California accessibility laws. This is not always the case. Both federal and state accessibility laws include program access requirements. We touched on these earlier when we discussed the small business policy on service animals and communicating with individuals who are deaf. Those were just a small sampling of the programming access required under the ADA and California equivalent laws. In all instances, it's very important to learn more about the requirements under the accessibility laws and make no assumption about whether you are complying. BetSedic has created an ADA guide for small businesses which contains very useful information, including information about the ADA lawsuit process and also includes tips on negotiation if you are in receipt of an ADA non-compliance lawsuit. Our guide contains information on the California Capital Access Program, CalCAP, which is a financing program that assists small businesses with financing the costs associated with some changes needed to become compliant. It also contains information about different tax credits and deductions available to small businesses that make ADA repairs or changes to their locations of their small business. It is important that if you do receive a lawsuit against your small business, you hire an attorney. In these cases, sole proprietors can represent themselves in court, but LLCs and corporations cannot, and they must hire an attorney. The BetSedic guide also provides useful information on the life cycle of these types of lawsuits. It is useful when you hire an attorney for you to understand what type of relief, tools, and procedures are in place to protect yourself and your small business. It is important to remember that accessibility laws, both at the federal and state levels, were created to give people with disabilities equal access to fully participate in all aspects of society, including frequenting public spaces that offer goods and services. If you are a business, then you will have to comply with these laws. As a business in operation, it's important to learn more about compliance and getting connected to resources that can assist you and your small business in maintaining compliance. As it stands, disability accessibility laws, both at the federal and state level, require compliance. We hope all our small businesses thrive and have longevity in all communities, and compliance with the ADA laws is one way in which they can strengthen their daily practices. The accessibility laws discussed today were enacted to guarantee equal access to persons with disabilities in many aspects of our society, including participation in the rituals of accessing goods and services. All businesses, both private and nonprofits, regardless of their size, are required to comply with both the ADA and its state law equivalents. It's important to learn the laws and implement changes to your small business if required. Education, building community, and getting connected to legal services are keys that will allow your small business to create access to persons with disabilities and comply with these laws. Thank you for joining BetCEDIC to learn more about the ADA, both at the federal and the California state level, to strengthen your small business and create longevity in the community.